scoots.
You can't scoot more?
No, there's a thing here. There's a printer that's not plugged in.
Oh, well, I guess it's fine. I guess I'm in frame enough.
There you go. Now you're in the frame.
I've been framed.
Get on your level. There we go.
Yeah, get on my level.
There we go. All right, let's start here.
All right.
And welcome to another episode of the Media Boat Podcast, your weekly episodes for movies, TV, music, video games, news, thoughts, not necessarily in that order. My name is Mike. His name is Matt.
My name is Matt. His name is Mike. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Media Boat Podcast. Today is October the 22nd. We live in a post-Midnight's world. Don't worry. We'll talk about Taylor and Midnight's later. Promise. In the meantime, thank you. We have all that and more for you today, including giant titles now on our Google Sheet.
Oh, let's already get the headers.
I figured. Anyway, so yeah, let's get rolling right into it.
Yep, and we start with the music section.
Yes.
This is episode 354. Keeping track.
By the way.
Yes. And we start the music section with the Billboard, and we always start the Billboard with the Hot 100.
Yeah.
And at number 1, your hottest song in the land, Bad Habit by Steve Lacy. Coming in at 2, Unholy by Sam Smith and Kim Petras. At 3, As It Was by Harry Styles. Coming in at 4, I Like You, a happier song by Post Malone featuring Doja Cat. And rounding out your top 5, You Proof by Morgan Wallen.
Yeah, somehow Morgan Wallen has continued being a demon for us in the Billboard 200, but now is attacking the 100.
Get out of here.
Yeah, get out of here, Morgan.
As for your Billboard 200, your albums chart, at number 1 is Maxident by Stray Kids.
Maxident?
That's what it says.
Maxident. It's like a max accident.
Yes. It's an accident set to the max. A Maxident.
Yeah, you don't want to make a Maxident.
No. I was going to make like a kid named Max joke there, but maybe not. Coming in at number 2, Un Verano Sin Ti by Bad Bunny.
Summer's over.
Yep, Summer dropped to number 2. Rising to number 3, Renaissance by Beyonce.
Not sure why this bump happened.
It's got to be ticket sales.
Maybe.
It's always ticket sales.
Is she touring?
Why wouldn't she be touring?
I mean, that's a good question. But if you're Beyonce, you don't have to do anything.
Yeah, you're right.
You can sit around.
Just somehow Renaissance is in the top 5.
Yeah, I don't know why, but hey, sure. Maybe TikTok.
Maybe. Coming in at number 4, Dangerous, the double album by Morgan Wallen.
Don't worry, this will have a complete shakeup next week because we have so many new releases.
Yep. Speaking of, number 5, The Hits. The Highlights by The Weeknd.
I think this is just going to be an evergreen thing that we just see pop up once in a while because people love The Weeknd.
People love his hits. And I do also listen to The Highlights by The Weeknd every now and then.
So there you go. You're part of this. You're part of the reason why it's here.
I'm not the reason, but I am part of the reason.
No, the reason is by Hoopastank.
Yes, because the reason is you.
Anyways. What? New releases.
Jokes are a certain age.
Yeah, seriously. New releases.
If you didn't like any of those albums, we have new releases.
We do.
Starting with Girls Night Out by Babyface.
Yeah, Babyface. I didn't know he still recorded music. I thought he was just a producer and record executive. But hey, Babyface. There you go.
We also have And I Have Been, which is more different than As It Was.
Yeah, I guess.
And I Have Been by Benjamin Clementine.
Yeah, bear with me this week on new releases because I didn't recognize most of these names, but I wanted to put something here. So I was just like, someone surely has heard of these people and just kept typing.
All right. There's also Circuitous by Blessed.
Circuitous?
Circuitous? It's Circuit.
I think that's how you say that word.
Circuitous?
Circuitous.
Maybe Circuitous by Blessed. Being Somewhere by Dan Mangan. 20s by Dragnet. Lightwork by Devin Townsend. Townsend. Hiding in Plain Sight by Drug Dealer.
One word.
Warn your cops. Waiting Game by Junior Boys. Trouble the Water by Show Me the Body.
I've at least heard of Show Me the Body.
So have the cops.
Yeah.
And your big
I
release.
guess for you, as you're adamant about listening to every single one of these.
Maybe not. But as we mentioned, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard will now be releasing their second album of October called Changes.
They just don't stop.
Which means that their third album will be next week. As they have said before, 3 albums in October.
Yep, there you go.
Yep. So
More
those are your
lizards.
new releases.
Those are your new releases. But chances are you'll just continue listening to what came out this week, which we'll talk about in a moment.
Yep.
But first, there's music news.
Yep, we'll get to our thoughts in a minute, but first, jump into the news. And we jump into the news in the K-pop section, starting with BTS, as the biggest names in K-pop announced on Monday that they will indeed sign up for Korea's mandatory military service.
Yes.
With Jin initiating the process at the end of October.
This is a follow-up story we talked about a few months ago about how this was maybe going to happen, and that the BTS and their management were trying to work with the Korean government, trying to get them out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, nope, can't get them out of it. They all have to serve, every single one of them.
Which doesn't bode well, as
yes,
tensions in that area of the world continue to rise.
Yeah.
So is it like, if it's mandatory military service, do you, like, I know you can like kick the can down the road until you actually have to sign up, but it makes it sound like they're giving into it, even though it's mandatory. Like, now we're
again, it's mandatory, but they're such public-facing celebrity figures,
right?
That I'm sure that they thought that maybe there was a chance that they had some pull to get around it. Turns out, no. The government is adamant about no. You all have to do it.
Because if you make an exception for one,
right,
you're going to start making exceptions around.
Also, the government's probably thinking like, no, this is great PR, because all the fans are going to be like, well, if Jin does it, then I should do it. Like, then I shouldn't be afraid of it, or I shouldn't try to dodge it.
Or
I should do it just like he did.
Or if they're signed up, I could sign up too and be in a platoon with them.
Here's the comparison. It's Elvis.
It's Elvis.
It's the Elvis situation.
I knew you were going to bring that up. It's the
when
Elvis
was in the military, like, all of a sudden it was like, oh, wow, swoon. And like, if Elvis does it, we all should do it kind of thing. And then he came back and had a comeback thing. So yeah, like it's the same thing, just the modern equivalent.
Yeah, but then Muhammad Ali fought against going against.
Well, yes.
Yes.
As time went on, it became less popular opinion here in the United States.
Yes.
But in Korea, like, I guess that is still something that is just so commonplace. Also, the draft doesn't exist anymore in the U.S., which is the difference here, is that it's a different context. But anyways.
Yep.
So, the rest of the story.
Anyways, this move means that the septet will become temporarily inactive as a group.
Hiatus.
But, quote, both the company and the members of BTS are looking forward to reconvening as a group again around 2025 following their service commitment, said label Bright Music. Quote,
big hit. Big hit.
Bright.
Big hit music.
Oh, there's a hit there.
Music.
There's an I there. Otherwise, it's Bright.
There's no R.
Yeah, it's Bright. Yeah. Quote, the members of BTS are currently moving forward with plans to fulfill their military service. Group member Jin will initiate the process as soon as his schedule for his solo release is concluded at the end of October. He will then follow the enlistment procedure of the Korean government. Other members of the group plan to carry out their military service based on their individual plans, Big Hit said in a statement.
Yeah. So it sucks because, that means no tours, no appearances, no recorded music until 2025, when all of them are back. I mean, depending on how they're like, staggered out, like you might see some solo releases like Jen is doing before his departure. But beyond that, you won't have something by BTS for what? 3 years.
What if it's the government that breaks up BTS?
Like they don't come back after this?
They just never come back after
They're never the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could happen. I mean, this might be it, but I doubt it. I think that there'll still be a market and people waiting for them with bated breath when they come back.
I mean, like reunion tour.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we'll put a pin in this for a couple years,
and when we're having our God how many seasons will that be by the time we get to 2025?
Probably
Almost
1,000.
10, right?
1,000 episodes, maybe.
We started this in 16.
Yeah.
I mean, season 9.
Yeah. maybe our 500th episode.
Can you imagine if we're doing this for 10 years and we still don't have like any listeners?
Sometimes it's just for us.
Sometimes it's just for us, as we've said since the beginning.
Yeah. No, as we said from the beginning, it's a business.
It's different. That's a different thing that we say.
That's a different thing that we say.
Anyways, next story. This is a segue into the thoughts.
Yes, a segue into the thoughts because every news, well, not everyone got out of the way, but all the news was hovering and following the release of Taylor Swift's Midnight's album.
Yes.
And, well, it was released on midnight and immediately started making history. Not just because it was Taylor Swift's 10th studio album, but it officially broke Spotify record for the most streamed album in a single day.
Which is a record that keeps getting broken over and over again. So it's not like this is brand new, but hey, there you go. Good job, Taylor.
Spotify announced the news on its socials on Friday afternoon, writing, quote, "And before the clock could even strike midnight on October 22nd, Taylor Swift broke the record for the most streamed album in a single day in Spotify history." And Swift reacted to the news on Twitter saying, "How did I get this lucky? Having you guys out here doing something this mind-blowing. Like, what even just happened?"
You could say she's the lucky one. You could say that. So Midnights.
Yes, she's so lucky she's a star.
And that's different lucky.
Oh, that's a different lucky.
The Lucky One, which is a song on Red.
Yes.
Never mind. Anyways, which I think does actually in parts reference the Britney Spears song. But anyways, whatever. We're not here to talk about Red or Britney Spears. We're here to talk about Midnights, which is the new Taylor Swift record that came out on Friday. It's out. It's in the world. And I think it's surprised some people. I think it's different. Notably, this was something we had not heard a lick of until midnight or 9 o'clock Pacific time on Thursday night. I think it was a lot of people did not know what to expect from Midnights because she did very little to describe beyond the content of the music, what the sound of it was going to be. It was interesting to see a lot of people's first impressions. Overall, what do you think about Midnights as a Taylor Swift record?
So background, the content of this and why it's called Midnights is that it's songs written in the late night, like between midnight and 3 a.m. Songs that keep you awake, kind of like the stuff that kind of haunts you, also gives you anxiety. A little bit of songs that be like makes you like think and like, oh my God, expansion of the universe, and I'm just a tiny speck in it. Sometimes it's like lucid thoughts at times, but also it's very much like when a mind's let free to run on its own, and no one tells you to stop. How far does it go?
And it's not the first time that Taylor has wrote songs about this kind of headspace. Notably, ever since Lover, I feel like Lover, Folklore, and Evermore all have songs that reference like kind of Taylor's anxiety and her relation to her fans, her relation to her partner, her relation to her exes. Mm-hmm. She's been dwelling a lot on her image and how she's seen by the world. You can also see this in the Miss Americana documentary, which goes into kind of her anxieties a little bit more than previously, how she deals with being famous and being in the public eye, and how all of that is just in a blender. And I feel like this is an album that is the most focused version of that storytelling. And it does come out on the other end feeling like a concept album in a way of that, because all the songs kind of feel like, oh, I need to, like, this is what I'm feeling right now, and I need to get it off my chest.
No, because unlike other albums, which were written consecutively, these are songs taken from over the course of 10 to 13 years?
I mean, not explicitly. She didn't say she wrote it over the long period of time. I think these are anxieties and things she's thought about over those period of time. Yes, but I think the songs were written in the last year. But with all that being said, what did you think about Midnights? How did it hit you?
So before listening to Midnight, I went back to Taylor's album right before it. Not Folklore, but Evermore.
Yeah, we're
The-
not
the December
including the
release.
re-records here.
Yes, we're not including the records.
Yeah.
So Evermore, the December surprise release,
Yes.
which you were very
Yeah,
high on,
I
and
still
I
think
wasn't.
I still think it's great.
I'm sorry, but only one of them got a long pond session. It wasn't Evermore.
Yeah, and also
was
one of
Folklore.
them got album of the year, the other didn't. I know.
Yes.
Anyways.
So I think like Taylor won a lot of people with Folklore, and then saw Evermore as kind of like, oh, like what's
Bonus.
this? Bonus.
I think a lot of people saw it as like the equivalent to Carly's Emotion Side B. You
Yeah.
know, like this is more songs in the same kind of vibe. But just like Side B, a lot of it's better than the original. No, I'm not one of those people. I know a lot of Carly fans are like Side B is better than Emotion. I disagree, but
Yes.
there are people out there that think that.
Yes, people in what did you say the TikTok Taylor TikTok?
Maybe, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so this kind of falls in the same vein of Evermore.
Yeah.
I was gonna say not Evermore, but no, it is Evermore. But it kind of falls in the same vein as Evermore in that it's seems very ethereal, seems very produced. It's
with the crucial difference
difference,
here,
yeah.
which is that the instrumentation is completely different. Because
Yeah.
the most notable thing, I think, overall about Midnights is that she has now returned to the synth pop sound that she was on in Reputation and Lover. So this is not a folky record like Folklore and Evermore, where even though I don't think folk really does those albums a service either, but that is, I think, the most like important thing to note here is that she is not necessarily abandoning that sound, but she is definitely moving away from that sound, which is, I'm sure, disappointing to a lot of people who, like you said, got on the bandwagon with Folklore and like became Taylor fans because of it. And I think that a lot of people are going, this is going to be divisive because of that. But for the content and the subject matter of the songs, I think it makes sense why she made this choice.
Well, because it's funny that you bring up both Reputation and Lover, because a lot of these songs feel like they fit right in between those two albums.
It feels like a trilogy now. Like, I think that a lot of people were quick to say, like, oh, 1989 Reputation and Lover are the trilogy. I disagree now. I think 1989 is this weird transition record, and then Reputation, Lover, and now Midnights feel like of a piece. Midnights feels like a combination of the things she was going for in Reputation and Lover.
Yeah.
It's in the middle of those two Taylors, because you have Reputation Taylor, which is very much like she's been burned, she's been scarred, she feels like she needs to get revenge on her enemies, she's feeling bitter, but she's also falling in love. And that's the weird polarity of Reputation as a record. That's why it sat weird when it came out for a lot of people, because it's like there's these love songs and she seems like she's falling in love with this guy, but at the same time there's this feeling of bitterness and like awkwardness and old Taylor is dead kind of thing going on. And so it never felt really balanced. And then Lover is the opposite. Like it was the course correction record where she was like, no, I want to make a song that's fun and pink hued and like about love and maybe dabbles in some darker stuff like Soon You'll Get Better, the song with the chicks. And like, and tonally also it's very bright and colorful, like the Me video. And so like,
yes,
and
Brandon Urie.
Yeah, exactly. Brandon Urie shows up. And then Midnights is somewhere in the middle of that, where it's like there's that anxiety setting in, and there's some bitterness, but it's not as serious, it's not as dark. And then there's also like elements of that, like I feel like the pink is toned down to lavender and maroon, and it's kind of like living this thing. That's not to say, though, I don't want to say it's not at all influenced by what she did in Folklore and Evermore, because I do think there's elements of it. And I think it's in the songwriting. One of the reviews I read, I think this was a Stereo Gum take. They mentioned that there's a little bit that the songwriting that approach she's taking has changed. I think even up into the Lover era, she was still trying to make big pop songs. No longer the case. I think what she learned in the Folklore era was that people will still like her if she writes slower songs that don't explode at the end. And these are largely songs that do that. They're constructed similarly to the songs on Folklore and Evermore, but they sound like the songs on Lover. It's a synthesis of those two things. And I think that's another reason why I think this record's going to be divisive. So do you feel like you liked it? Do you feel
it's already divisive right here, because I'm like, because
Are you on the fence about it? Because I sense that you're on the fence about
I'm on the fence about it, but more
Yeah.
leaning on the off of it than on
Okay.
of it.
All right.
There are several songs on it that are good. Anti-Hero, Karma, Questions.
Yeah, Question.
Those are all good songs on this. They're all going to get radio play. Just guarantee you.
That's the thing. Are they?
You will.
Because one of the weird things about the Folklore era, Folklore Evermore had one single each.
Mhm.
It was just the lead singles that hit. It was Cardigan and Willow. And then even Willow like disappeared after a while. Lover still to this day has better radio play with Me and with Lover, the title track. She's just not she's not an artist that, like we mentioned, Beyonce could kind of just sit around
Yes.
kind of thing. She's in that era. I think Taylor's getting there too. And I think Midnights is a record that admits that in a way. Well, Folklore and Evermore are too. I think now she's in the era where she realized she doesn't need to write radio hits anymore. She doesn't need that. She's big enough of an artist that she's going to be a huge success and make a lot of money off of this without having to be big on charting.
Play on tour.
This will chart, but I don't think that it's going to be a radio replay. However, if it is, yeah, I think you hear Anti-Hero a lot if it does hit. But we'll see. I honestly don't know if it does. I don't think she intends it to.
Even if she doesn't intend it to, people will still try and push for it.
Maybe. One of the local pop stations here, My FM, was actually doing something interesting. They were playing a different song off of Midnights at every 10 of every hour, so like 7:10, 6:10.
Yeah.
And so they were playing like deep album cuts. Like on my way home yesterday, they played Bejeweled, and I was like, all right, okay. But I think like that ends this weekend though, and I don't think any of. And yeah, maybe if they get enough calls about something. But so far, the only proper single that Taylor's released is Anti-Hero.
Right, it has the music video out.
Yeah, it has the music video. But she did say that there's going to be music videos for a lot of these songs. Oh, Free Girls in Our City.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, fun.
Thank you for that. Anyways. I didn't know you had to pay for girls.
No, they're on the 91.
You can, I guess. But
that's the 91, which is going to be backed up.
On the 91?
Yes.
Wow. Why are they in the freeway? That's weird. Should get off the freeway. Sorry. Anyways,
thank you, chat.
Ban that guy. Anyways, block that guy. No, I'm serious.
Right.
Block spam, please.
Block spam.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
No, you hit block.
Yeah. Report. Yeah.
Or you hit remove.
Report. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you. Anyways, I got to do that individually. That's funny.
It's fine.
Sorry, this is our first spam in our chat that we've ever gotten. So, brand new stuff. Anyways, so yeah, lost my train of thought.
Yep.
What was I about?
You were going off on radio play.
Anyways, yeah. So I don't know if that's gonna happen, but regardless, I see what you mean. There are songs that I think that are poppy enough of a vibe, but overall, it's not all that. Because I think she knows that she doesn't have to make an album that's all that. I think that's the lesson she learned from Lover, is that the reaction to Lover was so all over the place because there were people who were like, some of this is really, really good, but some of this sucks. Me is a bad song.
According to you.
I think You Should Calm Down is a bad song. And those were the singles. And so that's where it's like, to me, it's like, I think she learned from her fans and from her critics after that and was like, oh, I don't need to be that Taylor anymore. I think she realizes that the Taylor of 1989, where she had a ¡1 song for a very long time, is done. I don't think she's that artist anymore. Folklore transformed her image of how she is a a different era of her being a superstar. And I think Midnights reflects that.
Is that she's more of an album now instead of a singles?
It's the transition that a lot of artists go through. It's the classic Beatles transition where they stopped touring and they became a studio band. I think Folklore is that division point for Taylor. I think Folklore proved, and the pandemic may have forced her hand. And I think it forced a lot of artists' hands. Casey had this moment on Golden Hour. She still tours. Obviously, they're not going to stop touring. Taylor probably could. She probably doesn't have to tour ever again if she doesn't want to. I think she will. I think she'll do another stadium tour once she feels comfortable doing so.
Once she's forgiven SoFi for what they did to her.
No, it wasn't SoFi. She canceled on them, right? Like,
no, the pandemic canceled.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yes.
Because of the pandemic. I don't think that's SoFi's fault.
Well, she couldn't open it, so therefore she...
I don't think she's bitter about that. She's bitter about some things, but she's not bitter about SoFi Stadium. Anyways. So yes, you were saying. about the balance of songs.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back and forth. Like, there's a lot of new songs on there, a lot of new vibes, as we were talking about off podcast, that Taylor's vocals on it at times seem buried in the vibes from Jack Antonoff.
Yeah, I think the production, which is, again, a lot of it is by Jack Antonoff. He's a co-producer on, I believe, every song but 2.
Yeah, and then I think Dresner is on the back half and the 3 a.m.
Aaron Dessner is not on the proper 13 songs, but he does produce a couple of the bonus tracks of the 3 a.m. edition.
Which, by the way, we have to note that she surprise dropped bonus 3 a.m. edition song.
And honestly, I see why she trimmed them out. I feel about the same with those as I do about the From the Vault tracks on the re-releases. They're extremely hit or miss. And I get why she didn't include them on the proper release, because they're not worthwhile enough really to dwell on too long. Also, like the bonus tracks on Folklore and Evermore, they don't do much for me. But anyways, they do exist.
They are there.
They're
part of the album. So yeah, this album exists somewhere between midnights and 3 a.m.
Literally, yes.
Literally.
They did, yes.
Yeah. And depending on how you feel about like where you're at 2 a.m. in the early mornings, like sometimes good stuff happens, sometimes bad stuff happens. I think that's where people are going to end up here. Is like, are you someone who's going to stay up past midnight and enjoy it, or are you going to bed at 10 a.m. and like going to skip it?
Yeah.
Or 10 p.m. 10 a.m. Yeah, going to bed at 10 p.m. and like going to skip this album.
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of people are going to land between this.
So I guess what I'll say about kind of where I'm at with it is I was skeptical for the first couple of songs because I was like, all right, this is a little bit of a different kind of vibe. I'm not sure if I'm digging it. Antihero did not click for me like it did for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting. I think that it definitely got me prepared lyrically for what the rest of that record's going to be, which I'll get to that in a moment. But sound-wise and production-wise, I wasn't fully on board. But then, like, once it kicks into gear, it goes. And by the end of it, I was like, I really like it. And I still, after a second listen, and after hearing some of the singles several times, or some of those like specific tracks several times, I'm like, yeah, I think I like it. I think I'm landing on the positive side of it. And here's my reasoning for that. I think that the production, even though it's inconsistent, is interesting. I like that she's trying new things. It reminds me of some of the stuff that she was experimenting with on Lover. And I appreciate that side of Taylor. I like the Taylor that is going to sit down with Jack and the two of them are going to explore different sounds they can use. I like that because I like that she's willing to experiment. A lot of artists get into a comfort zone and they don't get out of it. And I like that Taylor refuses to be in a comfort zone. I like that she tries something new every time now. And I love that because I think it makes for an interesting listen and like a compelling listen compared to I'm going to give you tip my hand on Carly's record compared to like something like Carly Rae Jepsen. We'll get there. But I think that it makes it for a more interesting record overall. And if she doesn't do that experimentation, I think she would be extremely boring. And I'm glad that she's not boring. On the flip side of that, I think it's also interesting lyrically. The internet is massacring Taylor right now over some of the lines on this album.
Are you talking about the kitty one?
Yeah, that one specifically on Karma. I love it. I think it's great.
I thought it's hilarious.
Yeah, but a lot of people are like, oh, that's bad writing. Like, oh, this and this line is really sloppy. Like, a lot of picking and choosing. First of all, have you ever listened to a Taylor Swift song before? Because she's always written sloppy-ass lyrics. Just listen.
They're not sloppy, they're slanted.
Just listen to the 10-minute version of All Too Well that she put out with the re-release of Red last night. There are some clunkers in that 10-minute version. But the reason why everybody was still obsessed with it and everybody still loved it is because for every clunker, there's also an amazing line, right? And I think that Midnights is the perfect example of that. There are some really awkward sounding lyrics here, but they're also, I think, some of the best lyrics she's ever written. And so she's always working in like a combination of these things. And I like that it sounds off the cuff. And I like that it sounds like stream of consciousness sometimes because it works with the concept of the record. So I want to note on one of the reviews I read that was negative. I think that the Beast now has a pop column now, and they did a review. It was the most negative take I saw on it. And they were talking about how they felt like that's not an excuse. They were saying that even if your concept is, oh, these are supposed to be about my midnight anxieties, it's still not an excuse for sloppy writing. I disagree. I think that if you are waking up in the middle of the night from a bad dream that were about your inner anxieties and and trying to overthink something, I think the thing that you're going to say in your diary when you're writing is going to be sloppy. It's going to be off the cuff, and it's going to feel like that. Mm-hmm. It's going to sound like karma is a cat in my lap purring. It's going to sound like I drew my eyeliner so sharp it could kill a man. Like it's going to sound evocative. It's not going to sound purple. It's not going to sound perfect. It's not going to sound like a second draft. It's going to sound like a first draft. And I like that some of these lyrics sound first drafty. I get why people are like, well, that's not professional. But I'm thinking that that's not what she's going for here. Working within the context of what she's trying to do here, I think it's perfect. I think it's very tailored. And that's why I think it works for me. So those two things combined, the experimental sound of some of the voice manipulation and some of the instrumentation, the willingness she has to try new things, combined with the off-the-cuff songwriting, it's really endearing. It's really charming to me. And I get that that's a very thin line, and a lot of people are going to listen to the same exact thing and say, well, that's fine. I don't like it, and I respect that opinion. I get it. And so I think that's the divided line. I hate to evoke this person, and it is very ironic that I'm evoking this person in the Taylor thoughts. It reminds me of Kanye West's Yeezus in a way, where the reaction to that record was, which sounds really wild, and he's trying weird-ass stuff, and he's moving the needle a little bit in hip-hop, but the lyrics are stupid as shit. That was the reaction to Yeezus. It was like, he's like, all these lyrics suck. Like, what the hell is he talking about? But the reviews were still, like, super glowing because he was at least trying something. There was a vibe, and there was an environment. Obviously, that Kanye is dead to us. But that Kanye did exist at that moment in 2013. And I think that this reminds me of that reaction. The critical reaction we're seeing right now reminds me of that. Because it's like, yeah, she's trying some things and there's a vibe to it. But what the hell is she talking about? And I think that works. Just how it worked back then with Kanye, I think it works with Taylor here. And I promise I will not bring up Kanye again on the show because Jesus Christ, he's had a month. Anyway, and yeah, there's a purpose why I've not brought up any of that shit. Anyway, so that's my take on Midnights. I think it's a interesting era to her career. I think it's an interesting step she's taking. I think it's a blender kind of synthesis of a lot of versions of Taylor we've gotten before. And it's going to be divisive. I think, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where we land on it by the end of the year and going into next year. Because I think this is going to be either a grower where people are going to grow to love it or grow to despise it.
It's interesting that you say end of the year because that's only 2 more months away.
I know, but
everyone has to start writing end of the year articles.
We're still, why I say that is we're still in the Taylor Swift honeymoon phase. We're still in the week of release right now. And I think that once we exit that, then the dust will settle and then we'll be able to figure out. Maybe I turn on it. I don't think I will, though, because I think that the things I find endearing about it, I think are going to last, but we'll see. But yeah, interesting record. Interesting record with a lot to talk about. And I think it'll come back up again at the end of the year.
And it's going to be an interesting year because we have that. We have Special. We have Renaissance. We have Morgan Wallen, the double album.
Oh, it just goes. I'm talking about that. So yeah, we will. Yeah, there's a lot of music this year. In fact, a lot of music this week.
Yes,
I'll be briefer on the rest of these.
They were the only. As Taylor Swift wasn't the only one to release an album this week.
Yeah,
there were several others, as we noted last week, including the aforementioned Carly Rae Jepsen.
Yes,
with The Loneliest Time.
So, just like with Dedicated, Carly Rae Jepsen is an artist that's really hard to talk about now because she released a perfect record, and she will always be chasing it. Of course, I'm talking about 2015's Emotion.
Yes, you're not talking about Golden Hour.
No, it's just like Casey. I think Casey and Carly have that in common, where they put out something that was so game-changing, so important, I think, in the larger talk about pop music, and so important personally to me, that everything that they've done after, and to be fair, in Casey's case, it's only one record.
Right.
In Carly's case, now it's like 3 if you count side Bs.
You gotta count side B.
And so, or 4, I guess, if you count all the side Bs. And so, yeah, it's like, it's not. I feel like they're always going to be. I feel like I'm going to be chasing that high from them, and if I don't get that high again, then I'm going to be disappointed. And yes, this is me saying that I'm sorry to report that I'm a little disappointed again in The Loneliest Time, Carly Rae Jepsen's new record.
I don't know, because this is like the exact opposite of Midnight's, where it's
It
all
is.
pop,
Yes.
all funk,
Yes.
all
If
high
you
energy.
come off of Midnight's disappointed because you didn't get a big pop banger from Taylor, listen to Carly because she's got those.
Yes.
That, I think, is the best part of this record. When it goes hard. She also, just like a lot of artists in that kind of sphere, like Dua Lipa and like Beyonce, it has pivoted to a disco-inspired dance sound.
Mm-hmm.
And I think largely when she's in that zone, it works. There are some really, really great high points on this song that are peak Carly. I think the title track, The Loneliest Time, the duet she has with Rufus Wainwright, is great. I think the string interlude after the little dialogue bit where she goes, "I'm coming back for you," is perfect. I think it's one of the best things Carly's ever done. It's like a chills-inducing pop moment, which I think is one of the best moments of the year. I just wish the rest of the record was at that level. What she does instead is she sprinkles this record with experiments. There is Beach House, which I do not care for, which has like a men chorus and is supposed to be like this like ABBA-inspired kind of 70s thing. I don't dig it. I don't like the vibe she's going for, and I do not like the jokes with the guys at all. I think it's unnecessary. I don't think she needed to do it. Also, stands out like a sore thumb on this thing.
I think it's good that it stands out because I really like Beach House.
I do not care for it.
It really stood out to me. Like you're thinking, like, oh no, like it's a bad standing out. No, this is a good standing out. I don't know what you're talking about.
Stand out for me. And then there's moments where she tries like kind of like solar power style there was vibes on Western Wind, which was the single.
The single we already knew about that from Coachella.
Yeah, and I like it. I like that song, but I still think as a whole, it's a weird moment in the record. And then she also will bring out the acoustic guitar for a song and try to do something a little ballady. And I'm like, the thing with Carly, and where I think I'm at with Carly right now, and we were talking about this at dinner last night, she doesn't pick a lane. She tries different things, but the thing is, she's a chameleon of an artist, and she doesn't necessarily she's always done this, even on Emotion, where she's she tries to do everything and be an all pop artist to all pop audiences. And sometimes that works when she's as broad as possible, but I don't think it always works. And here, I think the most experimental of her records, and I don't think it works in her favor. I think it feels disparate and it feels like a puzzle with some pieces missing. I just wish she would pick something. Go all the way in on that disco sound. Go all the way in on that pop sound. Go all the way in on something. Because I think if she just collected her focus, I think she could put out a killer record again. We could have another Emotion, but she doesn't want to do it. And I get why not. I get it. Because she's a musician, she's an artist, and she wants to try new things. Works for some artists, doesn't maybe work for some, and that's okay. I think this will click with a lot of people, but I didn't click with it as much.
It's weird how you compare Taylor Swift with Carly Rae Jepsen because you like when Taylor Swift does new things, tries experiments, and then with Carly, you want her to go back to where she was.
But I think there's a way to experiment within a genre and not necessarily... and still have a focus. The reason why Midnight's works to me and this one doesn't work as much is because Taylor experiments, but it feels of a piece. It feels like of a tone, right? The whole thing from track 1 to 13 feels like it's of the same album, even though she's trying different things within those songs. The Loneliest Time, by contrast, feels like several different albums over the course of it. It doesn't feel of a piece. It doesn't feel like it has a goal overall. It just feels like Carly wrote a bunch of songs over a period of time with different moods. It doesn't feel like one mood. And I don't know. I need to listen to it again. I need to let it settle a little bit more. And I maybe need to be in a better mode for it. I think Midnight is a headphone album. I think Loneliest Time might be like a driving album. It might be a different kind of vibe altogether. And so maybe I need to try it in its natural habitat before I can really sit with it. But overall, I do want to say, I do think it's better than Dedicated. I think it is definitely moves up in my Carly ranking because when the highs are high, they're really high.
Yeah.
I'll
That
give
is
it
one thing that we've talked about before on this podcast, that some artists just want to put out hits, just want to put out singles,
Yeah.
and don't put out a full concept album. And you as a listener, and us as well, have to be able to differentiate, is this artist trying to tell a full story within an album, or are they just trying to put out hits? Are they part of the hit machine?
Yeah, and Carly and Taylor are interesting both to compare too, because they both went through that transition.
Mhm.
After Folklore and after Emotion, both of them have a pivot, right? They go away from making the pop records and big tours, and they start doing like more studio work and start collaborating and start being like, well, what is my career now? They ask that question. And so, yeah, I'm glad they did come. What I will say is, like, I agree with you. I'm glad they came out on the same day because they are polar opposites in so many ways. They're both, they complement each other in a way, and they do not at all have any crossover.
No, they do not.
Which is hilarious to me because you definitely, when you saw that on a calendar, you could imagine, oh, they're just going to eat each other's lunches. But no, it didn't turn out that way. And I'm glad. I'm glad for both of them that they can coexist in the pop sphere and do different things. And we're all better for it. We're better.
It also
yeah.
just shows like how wide spans the pop genre is.
Yeah, it's almost like it's not a genre at all, which is true.
Yes, mono genre as you keep putting it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Carly. I might come back to it. Okay. I might be coming back to it, as to use her phrase.
Yes.
We'll see.
All right. Yeah. So that's the albums that we both listened to.
Yeah. You listened to something else.
Yeah, I snuck one in. I snuck an extra
one in.
Yeah.
You got loungy.
Well, no, I had a car ride. I had a car drive.
You had the car ride.
So I listened to The Car by Arctic Monkeys.
Real quick, did you listen to the last Arctic Monkeys record?
I don't think I did.
See, okay, interesting. Because I did, and that's why I didn't listen to this one, is what I'll say. I was not into what they did. It seems like, so Arctic Monkeys, they've been around for a while. In the 2000s, they made kind of like a more rocky albums. They had a big comeback in 2013 with AM. They had that radio single, which I'm skipping my mind what it's called. But then with the last thing that they put out like 3 or 4 years ago, they turned their sound on its head. They're a little loungy now and kind of like low stakes, like kind of a low key vibe. Yep. This is more of that.
This is exactly that.
Yeah.
This is exactly that. Following, as you mentioned, the previous album, that it's very lounge vibe, it's very jazz vibe.
Tranquility Hotel and Casino or something like that.
That sounds right.
Something like that. It's something like that. Anyway.
But yeah, that's the same sound. It's very smooth jazz, smooth piano, very tonally lounge music.
Yeah.
I was gonna make the illusion of like if Harry Styles made music for a sushi restaurant.
Yeah, a whole album like that. Yeah.
This is the exact opposite. This is bar lounge, like jazz singer, like smooth band on there as you're like sipping your old fashioned.
Yeah, exactly. Songs to drink an old fashioned too.
Yes. Don't know why it's called The Car, but yeah, they can.
Not in the car. Don't drink the old fashioned while you're in the car.
No, don't know why it's called The Car.
Unless somebody else is driving, then just hide the glass.
Yeah. But yeah, it's one of those albums where it's very lounge music. It's very nice. I really enjoyed listening.
Chill.
Very chill, very calming, very much lounge like.
Not at all like the Loneliest Time.
No, not the Loneliest Time. Which, went from Midnights to Loneliest Time to The Car, back to back.
Three very different vibes.
Very different.
Like, anxiety and tension. Fun dancing. Chill out.
Which was nice to listen to at night. Because, like, okay, let's cool down, drive on PCH. Yeah. But yeah, anyways, lounge music by The Car. No. Loud music
by Arctic Monkeys called The Car.
Yes, by Arctic Monkeys called The Car.
We're not talking about The Cars.
No, The Cars is
I wish we were talking about The Cars.
That's a different album. It's a different band altogether. All right. Any other music?
Oh, that's it? That's all you have to say about it? It's just chill?
It's very chill.
Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it. I don't think I'm going to come back to it, but if I need a chill album or something to like start a party and like just like have it be in the background as people come in.
It's like dinner party music.
It's dinner party music. Yes, that's a good analogy. Dinner party music.
I feel like we're being dismissive, but yeah, sure.
No, it's not dismissive. It's actually a good album to put on in the background. I mean,
if you're looking for that, then the Arctic Monkeys got you. That's what you're saying. What we're saying here. All right, now let's move on.
If you want to like class it up without being like
there's
too
some
classy.
smaller stuff that I did catch up on from last week, but I don't need to talk about it here.
We're already at 40 minutes here.
Yeah, we're already cooking, so we need to finish the show.
Yep.
Second half will be shorter, we promise. Anyway,
Yes, those were like all of our main thoughts. So let's get right into our next segment of video games.
Yes.
And we start with new releases.
Yeah.
Including Sackboy: A Big Adventure.
Yes.
For the PC.
Previous PS4 and PS5 launch game.
Yep.
Or PS5 launch game. That was also a PS4. Coming out for PC.
Yep. We have
Signalis
for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC.
Yep.
Star Ocean: The Divine Force for everything but the Switch.
Yep.
And then your big releases.
Yes.
Resident Evil Reverse.
Yeah.
For the PS4, Xbox One, and PC.
I believe this is a online kind of like survival-ish kind of co-op thing. I don't know. This is apparently a sequel to something else that they put out under the Resident Evil name, like last year.
Is this like Is this more like the 4v1?
I think
that's
it's
been going on
like that. Yeah, it's like some sort of online thing.
4v1 AVE.
PVE.
PVE.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
We also have other big release: Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Yes, not to be confused with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the game that came out in 2009.
Yes, this is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 2022 for the PS4, PS5, everything but the Switch.
Yes.
This is also why Kyler Murray had to play on Thursday because this game came out. Play it all weekend.
Yeah, play Call of Duty.
And lastly, your other big release, Bayonetta 3 for the Switch.
Yep.
And if you've been listening to Twitter or been anywhere in video game news, people have been talking about Bayonetta 3.
Yes.
And not for good reasons.
The discourse has been loud this week. So what's going on?
Yes. So let's just right into our first story as PlatinumGames, the publisher of Bayonetta 3.
Or the developer.
Yes, as publicly stated its support for Bayonetta's new voice actor, while also attempting to diffuse the ongoing debate around the role's previous performer. Last week, Helena Taylor, who voiced Bayonetta in the first two games, posted a series of videos on Twitter asking fans to boycott the upcoming third game, claiming she was offered an, quote, insulting fee to reprise her role. Sources then disputed Helena Taylor's claims.
I like how you didn't just want to say Taylor, because then we were just talking about Taylor Swift.
Yes. Yes. Her claims suggesting the fee offered was higher than she alleges, while Bayonetta's new voice actor, Jennifer Hale, posted a statement expressing her hope that, quote, everyone involved may resolve their differences in an amicable and respectful way.
The story doesn't mention this, so I just want to mention it real quick. Both Jennifer Hale and Helena Taylor are actually members of the same union, which makes this interesting, because if Helena Taylor is accurate here, that means that there's some like inequality. There's some there's an imbalance between some people that are even on the same roster. Jennifer Hale, by the way, if you recognize that name, is because she is a voice actor in a lot of things. She's most notably the voice of the female Shepard in the Mass Effect games. Anyways.
I think she was also in The Last of Us.
Yes, she, I believe, was in Last of Us 1.
Yes.
As the, what's her name? Joel's friend.
Yes, Joel's friend who doesn't make it past Act 1.
Spoilers.
Anyways. All right. So, although PlatinumGames Vice President Hideki Kamiya posted a series of tweets about the ongoing controversy.
As he is wont to do. That man loves to tweet.
Yep. A public statement attributed to the company itself had yet to be posted until now.
Until yesterday, I guess.
Until yesterday, yeah. So, quote, we at PlatinumGames offer our sincerest appreciation to everyone who has contributed to creating the Bayonetta series over the years, as well as the community that has served as its foundation. We give our full support to Jennifer Hale as the new Bayonetta and align with everything in her statement. We ask people to please refrain from any further comments that would disrespect Jennifer or any other contributors to the series.
Yeah, they have to walk such a thin line here because I think the fans were in support of Helen Taylor and we're actually listening to her calls for a boycott very seriously. But here's the problem with that idea. I have no problem supporting someone who believes that they were treated unfairly. That I'm wholly on Helen Taylor's
and
side.
We'll get to another story like that later.
But the problem with it is that that to a certain extent, PlatinumGames is right. Why would you do that and then just basically take a big crap on everybody else's hard work on Bayonetta 3? She's not the only person involved here. She may be right, but there's so many other people who worked on this project. So it's a tricky line. I don't blame anybody for being like, now I don't know how I feel about Bayonetta 3 as a product anymore. Like, did Helena Taylor get screwed over like she's claiming? Like, we don't know enough information. Like, and so it's really tricky to navigate this. And I think Jennifer Hale and Platinum did the best they could possibly do to support the product that they worked hard on and also understand where Helena is coming from. It's a mess, and I'm kind of maybe glad that I'm not like huge into the Bayonetta series because I don't have to make this choice and make the decision about what I'm going to do. But the people who do, man, it's going to be a rough launch. I don't know how to navigate the story.
Just to note that this isn't they're not the only company that has ever replaced voice actors. This is not the first one that's come out and we're going in a different direction. We're going in a new people.
Or even specifically, you could look back at one of the most notable times in my knowledge in recent history to have something like this happen. Remember Life is Strange Before the Storm, when they replaced all of the union voice actors with non-union scabs, and people were like, what the hell? I'm not going to play this game because of it. They ended up coming back later. But yeah, there was a moment there where everybody was like, wait, should we even play this game if all this non-union labor was used?
Well, see, I was thinking more of the lines of Charles Martinet not coming back as the voice of Mario.
That's such a different thing, though. It's not
like going and get Chris Pratt.
It's such a different thing because it's not like he was ever offered. No, absolutely not. They always were Illumination was always going to cast a celebrity in that role. There was no way. There was absolutely zero possibility that he would reprise that role in a full movie. It was never going to happen. So no, completely different situation. But nice try.
Hey, anytime I can bring up that movie until it comes out.
Well, only a few more months. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, well, no, you got to wait a couple more. Yeah, it's supposed to be December, but now it's coming in March.
April.
March.
One of those.
Yeah.
Spring, let's say.
Spring, yes. Could be delayed again. All right. Any other?
So that's that story. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I would hate to make this decision, and it's a complicated, messy situation.
Especially on release week.
Yeah. Not good timing if you're Platinum and Nintendo.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Sounds a bit of a horror story.
Speaking of horror stories.
Hey!
If you like horror stories and horror video games, then you were very happy this week.
Yes, because following months of anticipation, Konami has officially confirmed a Silent Hill 2 remake.
Yes.
The game was revealed during a Silent Hill transmission live stream on Wednesday and is being developed by Bloober Team, the Polish studio behind The Medium, Layers of Fear, and Blair Witch.
So I'm sighing because people in the horror game community apparently not big fans of Bloober Team and the games they make. The Medium, which was a big
PS5,
Xbox, no, it was the Xbox Series X launch game.
The launch game,
was divisive. And when I say that, it was divisive because it had decent gameplay, but the story that they would tell was deeply problematic. It had some issues with glorifying abuse, and it apparently was a bad time for all involved. So the Bloober Team has a little bit of a negative reputation among people who know video games. So not maybe the developer people wanted on a Silent Hill 2 remake.
Well, the game will be released for PlayStation 5 as a console exclusive.
As well as PC.
Konami said. And original creators such as art director Masahiro Ito and composer Akira Yamaoka are said to be, quote, closely involved.
The people you want to get on something that's as important as remaking what a lot of people think is a classic game.
Yes.
So yeah. And I think this makes sense. And this is, of course, I'm sure, a reaction to the huge success that Capcom has had with reviving the Resident Evil series and remaking 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
They sold so well and did so well bringing back that franchise that Konami was probably like, hey, we're sitting on Silent Hill. Fans love it just as much. Let's bring it back. And they finally did it.
I mean, it's been a recent trend in video games recently of remaking, remastering older games.
But here's the best news, in my opinion, is that they're not stopping there.
No, because the transmission also revealed that Silent Hill Townfall is in development at Scottish studio No Code.
Yes.
Which will be published by Annapurna Interactive.
Yes, No Code put out the opposite of what Blooper did, a game that the horror community loved called Observation. And so a lot of people are very excited to see what they do here. And of course, Annapurna, they're on a roll lately, so it would be cool to see them see a game that does the Silent Hill franchise justice.
But they weren't done.
They're still not done.
Silent Hill F was also announced, and it's in development at Taiwan-based Neoboards Entertainment, the studio behind Resident Evil Resistance, the asymmetrical multiplayer survival game, which was released in 2020.
That was what I was trying to think of earlier.
Yep.
And Reverse, the game we just talked about, that's coming out this week.
Yep, as well as the upcoming online Reverse, which is this week. Yep. But they're not done.
No.
Silent Hill had a big...
Do you love multimedia?
Yes. Do you love
Here's some multimedia.
In fact, we'll talk about this later as well. Additionally, there will be an interactive streaming series called Silent Hill Ascension and a new movie, Return to Silent Hill.
Yeah.
That is two different potentially streaming films.
Yes, the movie is a sequel to the 2006 Silent Hill film.
Yes.
And it also brings back the same director. So, and people seem to think that one was okay compared to a lot of video game adaptations. So yeah, if you were a horror game fan or a Silent Hill fan specifically, this was a lot of good news, I think, in a row. As much as, there is to say about Bloober Team, the rest of this sounds pretty positive. And I think that, it's cool to see a franchise come back in this fashion, and I hope it's all good.
Yep. So if you're a Silent Hill fan, more Silent Hill coming your way.
Yeah, perfect. Just in time for spooky season.
Yes. So question then, do we want to get to our fan question?
Oh, you want to do that now?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's skip ahead to our fan question. We have a fan question. Is this by our same?
Yes. Where'd it go? Did it get deleted?
No, it's right there.
What's that?
Fan question right there.
Yeah, except there's nothing.
You did not complete it.
Oh no, it's not like. Oh no, it's down here. That's what it is. It's down here.
It's. I didn't realize this was one long.
Yeah, document. I didn't realize it was. Yeah, so because we were talking about Silent Hill making a remake, making a movie, interactive movie. It's weird. Let me fix this so we can have it all on screen. Yes. So, fan question. Speaking of with video game movies being notoriously bad, as aforementioned, the original Super Mario movie, Assassin's Creed, for example, if given the opportunity to have a video game movie made for you and done right, big asterisk there, done right.
Right.
Yeah. Which video game would you choose to be made into a movie? As there are recently rumors of the BioShock movie going to Netflix, the constant Blumhouse production of Five Nights at Freddy's, which keeps getting rewritten and get pushed back.
Who knows? Yeah.
Who knows if it's even still greenlit at this point?
I think it's back on. I think right now. I recently heard something.
And then the aforementioned story of Silent Hill getting its own interactive and sequel of a film. Quote, personally, for a following up, I wouldn't mind seeing a Hideo Kojima directed Metal Gear Solid movie.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing you guys' answers.
Yeah, let's be real. The guy clearly wants to direct movies.
Yes. Most of his stuff is movie length. Yes, and there's a little caveat. I cannot say Kingdom Hearts for this one.
I saw that. Like, yes, there you go. That would be your answer.
But we talked about that last week with the anime.
We did. I feel like that should be the caveat to every question is Mike can't say Kingdom Hearts. You'd be so restricted.
So if I was going to do a movie and or a Netflix 10-part miniseries, I'd go Neon White.
I'm shocked you did not say God of War, but go on.
Well, they're already doing a God of War. It's already in development. And I can't say Last of Us because it's already in development.
And they're doing Horizon.
Yeah. So I'm going off brand of what I know is already in development or being talked about.
Neon White.
And Neon White.
It would make a good anime, wouldn't it?
One, it'd be make a great anime
Yeah.
in the vein of like what's the Arcane that just came out,
right?
Or Vox Machina,
or
Vox Machine,
or what they did with Cyberpunk.
And Cyberpunk,
recently.
Or Black Lotus even.
And there's a lot of stuff there too, because you could have the current day like demon fighting stuff. You can also have like the flashback to the backstory.
Yep.
That would be really cool. Like without spoilers for Neon White. But
yes, and have like different art styles for them, different interaction.
Kind of
it also adds the layer of mystery as you progress through the stories. There's a lot that you can go there on just that single game. Plus, adding the fact that you can make it an anthology that because this kind of event happens every so often.
You do it about different characters.
You do about different characters every season, making it an anthology.
Yeah, it almost reminds me of what they're doing with what Square's doing with the World Ends With You.
Yes.
Like making that kind of an anthology series in a way where like Neo is about a different set of characters.
Mm-hmm.
And like, going through the same kind of thing. Yeah, I think there's potential there. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you there. I'm going to burn my obvious one first, because it's the first thing I thought of, which is after I saw Pokemon Detective Pikachu, my immediate thought was like, I want to see a movie in this world that's not about a Detective Pikachu.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know more about how the Pokemon world as depicted in this world works. What do normal-ass people do? What are the life of a normal-ass person in the Pokemon world? Make a movie about that. Making like there's so many stories you could tell in that world, and I think I've already said this about some other question we got. But yeah, I think there's fertile ground there. So that's my obvious answer.
Yeah, I think we talked about that in 2017 when it came out, though.
Yeah, I think we did.
We don't have anything since.
Yeah, no. There's eventually going to be a sequel to that movie. I know they're making a sequel to that movie.
Yes.
Who knows when that's going to come out? But as for another franchise, let me think. There's got to be something. That
I got
really
an easy one because it doesn't require a whole lot of special effects and just really good writing. And that is where I'm going back to the Nintendo well here. The Phoenix Wright Ace Attorneys.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun. I think more a series than a movie.
Yes.
But yeah, that'd be pretty good.
Yeah, those are fun. I mean,
I think there is an anime actually.
There is. I think there is. Yes, there's an anime, but like live action though, if done right.
Maybe. Make it work. I feel like an obvious one is the Yakuza series.
Yeah,
I think that there's enough really great storytelling that and a lot.
We can't call them that. It's called the Like a Dragon series.
Sorry, yes,
now.
the Like a Dragon series. Yes. My bad. I think that would make a really good adaptation. But I'm honestly with our question asker here about Metal Gear Solid. Kojima should just make a movie at this point. It's like clearly it's what he wants to do. He'd be good at it, I think, to a certain extent. It would be weird as shit, but it would do really well.
He's one of those people where like he went to video games because technology at the time couldn't come up with his ideas.
There's a lot of people whose theory is that the theory is like he got into video games, became big enough in video games so that we meet a lot of celebrities and then pivot to a movie career.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's why he's buddy with like Guillermo del Toro and hanging out with like. Did you see the tweets he put about like doing mocap sessions with Elle Fanning?
Yes.
There's these weird like karate poses she's doing, and Kojima, what are you doing with your day? You're just hanging out with celebrities. Just him and Mads Mikkelsen, just like having a beer. I don't know. To be Kojima. Anyways, so yeah, I think that's a good one. The tricky thing is that like I feel like I don't play a whole lot of very story-heavy video games like you do, so there's not a lot of ones that I think would make good movies. It's tough. That's a good question, but it's a tough one for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to do like genre specific, like first-person shooter, as we've seen with Doom, or fighting games, as we've seen with like Street Fighter, or even the more recent one of
Mortal Kombat. But that's the thing, that Mortal Kombat one actually kind of worked.
Yeah.
I think it was a pretty good movie.
It was fine. Yeah. That's one of the better ones. But they did set it up for more sequel stuff to be done, but I haven't heard anything about it.
I think you could make a cute Kirby movie.
Animated, like
a fun family Kirby movie. That'd be cute.
What if Kirby's the next thing Illumination does?
I hope so. That'd be adorable. I would love that.
Or if it's if that's the next thing that they do, or the first thing that the Nintendo Pictures does.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah,
they could do that.
They could do that.
I would like that. I would like that very much. All right, let's move on. Thank you for the question. Yes, thank you. We always appreciate it. Keep sending them in. Let's pivot.
Ooh, I know what you should do.
What?
Blumhouse style. I was gonna say the following again.
The Witness?
The Witness, but it's Blumhouse style. They're trapped on an island and have to solve a series of puzzles to escape.
I don't want to watch a movie about people solving puzzles.
It's
That's
basically
just Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade.
Yeah, but it's like, oh, how did we wake up here? Just
No, it's
randomly showed up.
No, it's The Last Crusade, or it's what's the Die Hard one? Is that Die Hard 2 or 3? The one where they're trying to solve the riddles. 3?
3, I think.
Is that With a Vengeance? No,
Yeah.
That's
3 is Die Hard with a Vengeance.
right. Yeah, so I think that's With a Vengeance.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, but yes. So maybe I guess that's just Saw. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just Saw.
I mean, it could eventually just become Saw. But yeah, just solving puzzles.
Squid Games. Anyway.
No, not that.
No one dies.
No. Squid Games is just Fall Guys.
And yeah, speaking of which, did we play any video games this week?
Nothing new. I played more of the Marvel Snap that, as mentioned last week, came out.
And
I talked about it last week.
And I played the new update for Dreamlight Valley, but I'm not going to bore everybody with that. So we can safely move on to a second half of the show, and we start that with television, and we always start the television section with the Sports Corner. So first up, basketball returns this week. I was going to jump on the train, and then I realized something that kind of put a wrench in the works.
You were moving.
I don't have TNT.
Oh, TNT.
So I can only see the ESPN games. So I miss half the games every week.
Yes.
And yeah, so I might have to go on to Spectrum and maybe change one of my channels that I get and see if I can get TNT, and then see if I can watch some basketball. But yeah, I'm missing half the games.
Well, plus with TNT, you get inside the NBA.
Oh boy. So yeah, I haven't jumped on the basketball train. I promise I will. But those of you who have, the NBA season has started, and LeBron's already 0-3, so he's losing games.
Yep, he lost to Golden State, and he lost to the Clippers.
I saw that, yeah.
And yeah, sucks to be LeBron.
So much for the new dream team, huh? So they spent all that money on nothing.
Yep. This has propelled rumors that this will be LeBron's final season because
I'd see it.
He can't stand losing.
Well, and like you said, the NBA is already trying to promote the next big star.
Yes.
Because he's probably done.
Yep.
They know he's done. So the LeBron era is over.
We had a strong 10, 15 years there.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Next up, speaking of the inside the NBA, they have signed 10-year contracts with their hosts, Ernie Johnson, Charles Barkley, and Kenny Smith, and of course, our favorite, Shaq.
Yes.
So we'll continue seeing those guys as long as they want to do it.
No, official numbers were provided for 3 of them, but Charles Barkley's numbers did come out. It was 10 years, $100 million.
That's money. I mean,
just to do inside the NBA.
I mean, of course, it's a cushy job that they enjoy and that we enjoy. I just love all the clips with Shaq. It's just because the way Shaq talks about stuff.
It's another 10 years. This is which is one of the weird things of Warner Brothers Discovery locking them down because it's through TNT.
Because they know that it works.
Yep.
Anyway.
And we'll get to more cuts from them later.
More basketball news will come later. More cuts about Warner will come later.
Yep. But yeah, during the opening ceremonies, banner was raised for Golden State Warriors. Yeah. Congratulations. It was their 4th championship in 8 years.
Yeah.
So congratulations. And the season's already off and running.
Yes, off and running. Hockey also continues. But in the meantime, there's playoffs happening, both NASCAR and baseball. In NASCAR first, 3 races remain in those playoffs with Logano, Elliott, Chastain, and Hamlin in the final 4 positions. So the Watermelon Man continues.
Yes, Watermelon Man still is there.
Watermelon Power.
Pulling for him. Hamlin's on that bubble there. He could get kicked off before the final race in Phoenix in 2-3 weeks now.
Yes.
But we have this week, next week, and then the first week in November is the finale in Phoenix. Won't be going this year, but we'll be watching, especially if Watermelon Man Ross Chastain is in the finals. And he's pretty much secured in there because he's safely at number 2 with a big cushion between him, between 2 and 4.
Cool. So we'll watch that and see how he ends up. And we'll be the first ones to tell you, I'm sure.
Yeah.
If he smashes that watermelon. Anyways, let's move on to the playoffs that most other people are excited about, which is baseball.
Yes.
They are heating up. We have the conference finals here to see who goes into the World Series. Houston is currently 2 games up over the Yankees. So boring ass Astros again. And the Phillies up 2-1 over the Padres. That's the more interesting series, I think.
Yes.
Man, World Series play from Brandon Marsh, former Angel.
Always happens. Former
Good
Angels.
to see him thriving, honestly.
Former Angels just keep doing work outside of the Angel community.
He seems to be killing it. It's almost like it's not the players, it's the franchise. Makes you think, doesn't it?
It's the team.
Although, in Angels news, this isn't huge news, but just local baseball news. There's been a lot of changeover in the staff. Our batting coaches quit. Our third base coach quit. Like, there's a lot of transition happening in the Angels franchise. We'll keep an eye on out. See how that affects the next season.
And just a follow-up story from a couple years ago. The guy who supplied Tyler Skaggs
in the Angels organization.
Officially
sentenced,
charged. I think it was 20 years. I saw
something along,
so like 20 years in prison.
We're not seeing him again.
No.
So yeah, at least there was some sort of justice for this family of Tyler Skaggs, which is good.
Yes,
because that was just such a stain on the organization, among many stains. Yes, I know. I'm wearing them on my hat. I know. I'm sorry. But you have to be honest.
They're behind us right here.
You have to be honest about the team that you like. You have to be honest that they're scummy. And you know what? The Angels organization is scummy. I'll admit that. We need a new owner, bring fresh blood in there, and just restart the whole thing. Start blank slate with the stars we have. Because we have the stars. We have the pieces. We just need to put them in a row.
See, that sounds all nice and fluffy. But we've recently seen that obviously fail in the TV sector.
I know. So that's where I pivot to the television section. And we start the television section with another big gut. But you can't say you didn't see this coming. I said this as soon as they announced it.
Yes, and I said they won't fail if we're on it.
Well, they didn't hire us. And thus, G4, the former and again former, and then revived, and then now again former television station has officially shut down yet again. Comcast's Spectacor division is pulling the plug again on video game-centric network G4 TV just a year after its much ballyhooed relaunch. And a memo set to be sent out to all employees, Spectacor CEO Dave Scott explained that the company's investment and efforts to revive the network just didn't gain traction. You don't say. A video game network launched in an era where people just want to watch streamers didn't gain traction?
Where we could stream and YouTube and Twitch.
Who would have guessed?
Internet?
In an era where there is more places than ever to watch video game content, no one cared about his television station? What do you know? Sorry. Anyways. A few dozen employees and contract workers are affected by the shutdown. They had already laid off a bunch the week prior, so people kind of saw the writing on the wall here. Comcast did say it will assist them, though, with outplacement and consider some for internal opportunities within the Comcast umbrella. Along with putting content on YouTube and social media, G4 still has a multi-year agreement with Twitch and pay TV distribution deals with Verizon Fios, Cox, Xfinity TV, which is Comcast, and Philo. Spectacor's main business focus on sports and live events, with the division owning the NHL's Philadelphia Flyers, as well as their home arena, the Wells Fargo Center, along with numerous other assets. So this was never even something that was core to their business.
No. It wasn't a Spectacor.
No, it wasn't one of their Spectacors. The results of G4 were never particularly material to Spectacor, but the division has avidly pursued esports, making the G4 revival a logical thing to attempt, but also a logical thing to write off now that it failed. It's the take that I see here is really depressing, which is the people that worked really hard. So yeah, I dismissed the G4 relaunch because I didn't think it was going to work. I ended up being right. That doesn't say they didn't do a pretty good job of hiring really cool people and got a really diverse, talented staff to put on programs like that. Say what you will about Adam Sessler. But the rest of them, I thought there was really good, and Kevin Pereira, because they're both kind of
with Attack of the Show.
Don't love either of them. But the people, the new hires, they actually did really good work on getting really cool, interesting people. And by far, it sucks. That's the biggest saddest part about this story. It sucks all those really talented people are without a job, because it did seem like it had potential to do something new. So that's the sad part. And then just to see the rich assholes who funded it just be like, it's fine, we didn't even need it anyways. That has to hurt. That has to hurt if you were taking the opportunity of being on G4 and trying to pivot into something that mattered. All of that was just pulled out from under you. So yeah, it's a sad story, but ultimately a predictable sad story. I hope all those people land somewhere and get to make content that they like and have full control over, and continue to work in that space, and not hopefully with a corporate overlord like Comcast that's going to axe them as the soonest they can. So yeah, it just sucks. It's a sucky thing, but honestly, G4 is just an idea and a concept that had a time and place, and it's no longer viable.
So is this the sad phone call, if you
It's
called
the
it?
saddest time we have to put the phone to our head. I
Yes.
think you're right. But yeah, oh well.
Yeah.
Sorry, G4.
Back to streaming.
Back to streaming. Anyways, speaking of video game stuff in the television section, we're just doubling up on the video game stuff this week.
Yeah. Well, this is part of Warner Brother Discovery's umbrella now, ever since they got purchased.
Yeah. Oh, I'm reading the story.
Yes.
Sorry.
I thought you were reading it.
I was setting you up for something.
Because you think you were video games.
Yeah, that's why. I think it's because I thought we were video games. So pivoting from video games to video games on television, or video games television to video games on television, Rooster Teeth. If that name sounds familiar, they got their start with the Red versus Blue Halo Machinima series on early YouTube. They have continued to exist in kind of a streaming kind of like multimedia approach, and they were owned by Warner Brothers Discovery.
Yeah, sometimes they put out original content as well.
Yeah.
Like they do their was it Death Battle on their YouTube series?
Them, yeah.
Ruby as well.
Yeah, they're the Ruby people. That's right. I forgot.
Yep.
So yeah, they've kind of branched out over the years, but they're in the news this week, not for the greatest and not for the rosiest reasons. So they came under fire this week from a former employee who said she was mistreated during her time at the company, including being verbally harassed and severely underpaid. Kadin Jensen, and I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that first name correctly.
Pretty sure it's Kadin.
Kadin, who worked at Rooster Teeth from 2013 until leaving earlier this year, published a lengthy 2,257-word blog post Saturday night detailing her experience at the company. Jensen was a producer and director who mainly worked in the company's Achievement Hunter games group. Achievement Hunter, mostly known for being an Xbox 360 era, like, I need to know all the achievements in this game kind of video kind of thing. Within a few weeks of starting at Rooster Teeth, Jensen wrote, quote, "Every day I came into work, I was called F-slur, but they could not use that name in content. So whenever anyone was recording, I was called Fugs instead," unquote. Jensen said they repeated the use of the nickname for years to HR, but, quote, "nothing was ever done about it," end quote. In addition, Jensen said they were unpaid for voiceover work that they did from February to November 2013 while at Rooster Teeth, including voicing May Marigold for the company's Ruby anime-style series. Jensen said she was underpaid compared to coworkers and industry standards. Quote, "I am still recovering from this debt now, as Rooster Teeth has been underpaying me for years. My raises were frozen by my manager at the time, and because of that, I never received a proper raise even up until I quit earlier this year," wrote Jensen, who uses she and they pronouns. Until the end of 2020, Jensen said they were paid around $40,000 per year as a producer-director. That's it, which was almost $30,000 less than the lowest paid person next to them. So just a lousy picture of how Rooster Teeth ran their organization.
Note that that comment of she, they pronouns, because Kadin Jensen is transgender, male to female.
Okay.
That's why that was there. That's also what perpetuated the slurs in the environment.
Around. So this is unfortunately a recurring story in a lot of companies that start as web video projects and then get bought by corporations and then become bigger and bigger and bigger.
Right. It's the perpetual cycle of harassment.
You see this because what happens is that the people who created it, who still have like ownership roles in the company, stick around because they have those ownership roles and they want to stick around and be kind of creative directors of it. But when they're coming from making two dumb videos together in the 2000s, they're not going to stop being those guys. They're going to still be those guys that they were making dumb videos in the 2000s. They don't know how to run a company.
Especially when you throw money at them.
And that company culture goes down throughout the organization.
We've seen this recently in video games.
Yeah. Plenty
Segment.
of places.
Plenty of places. Was it Blizzard?
Yeah.
Recently that we talked about in video game section. What was the other one that we talked about?
There was
Ubisoft
talk
as
about,
well.
Yeah, there's some talk about in Quantic Dream as well.
That's the one. Yeah,
Naughty Dog to a certain extent. There's a lot of stories about this, and even outside of video games, you have stories like this in all sorts of small places that start small, and like Cards Against Humanity had a similar story about a year or so ago, where somebody also was like talking about they were mistreated. Because if you start so small and get bigger and bigger and bigger and snowball, you're going to still, like, they don't know how to run a company. They don't know how an HR department is supposed to work. That toxic feeling is going to permeate, and people who are marginalized are going to feel it. And they're not going to want to stick around because they're going to be mistreated like this. So, yeah, I've never been a Rooster Teeth person. I didn't really get into Rupee. I didn't get into Red versus Blue back in the day. I didn't really pay attention to anything of theirs. But it's just a reminder. Always take a look at these kind of companies, these ones that started like as an internet kind of thing. Because like unless they cleaned up their act, they're probably all run by people like this, and they're probably always kind of shady stuff going on under the scenes. I'm glad that this person has the bravery to come out and talk about it. And
it's toxicity within a company that, if it's not rooted out, just becomes toxicity with money.
Yeah.
And like power behind them.
You're right. So I hope that this makes some changes going forward in Rooster Teeth and any similar situations. Just the more of this talked about, the better.
Yeah, and being able to get their voice out, being able to be heard like this, get your side of the story, be able to voice your opinion, not opinion, but voice your side of the story. Yeah.
So that was a bummer. What's not a bummer though is you finished off a couple of shows on Netflix.
Yes.
You finished off The Mole.
Yes, we're going to talk about last week, and I'm going to change my opinion on it.
Okay.
It sucks.
Oh, no. So it did not end well.
Not end well. So the person who I thought was the mole ended up being the mole. Yes, I was right the whole time.
That's disappointing.
But not for the reasons that I thought. The reasons I thought was because in the original series of The Mole, as I mentioned, that during the finale, they reveal all the clues that they sprinkled throughout the show to show you where, like, you could have gotten clues as a viewer and where they could have gotten clues as players
Mr.
on who the mole was.
I gave you all the clues.
Yeah.
Remember Snowman?
Yes, Snowman, Mr. Gyllenhaal. Jake Gyllenhaal is a police officer.
Mr. Policeman. Yeah.
Yeah, where it's like, you see, you had all the clues. But the finale came, and it wasn't that. It was just, here's where I sabotaged here. Here's where I sabotaged here. Here's where I did a little sabotaging here. I was like, yes, but we knew that.
Yeah.
Because we saw it. You're not giving us any new information. You're just highlighting what we already saw.
Yeah.
And where people were expecting you to be the mole. It's like, yeah, that was actually doing mole-like stuff because I was indeed the mole.
Mm-hmm.
That's not new. What I was looking for was like, we added this little detail here to help like the players point out who the mole was.
You were hoping they would do it like recent seasons of Circle, where they would keep adding new obstacles to make it more interesting.
No, it's not adding more obstacles to make it interesting. It's adding more clues to help point to where the mole is. So that way, as a viewer, you can go back and catch all the stuff you didn't miss. Because there's nothing like that. There's nothing that makes me want to go back and rewatch the season.
So you're saying it was too easy?
It was too easy, yeah. I mean, it might be too easy, especially since I was like, oh no, that person's the mole, like right from like episode 1.
You're like the Pokemon discourse. Oh, this thing's too easy. It should make it. Should get difficulty levels in the mole. It should make it harder to solve. Sound like every guy on a message board talking about the Scarlet and Violet impressions this week. It should make it hard. I can't believe you can tackle the gyms in any order. Nothing stopping you from rolling a like level 60 team and being the first gym leader. Of course not. It's fun. Have fun in video games, people.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry. Continue.
Anyways.
Enjoy your reality shows. They're supposed to be dumb and stupid.
Oh, that's why I'm going to enjoy the next one.
We'll get there. But yes, so the mole, disappointing.
Yes, mole disappointed in the finale. I'm not sure if it was disappointed because like I chose my person who I thought was the mole and ended up being right the whole time. Yeah. So it wasn't like, oh no, they're not it. Now I have to go back and watch who I think it actually is. But like no, like they made it all the way as like clearly you're the mole. That was like the most obvious thing there was. Mm-hmm. How does everyone not see you as the mole? So yeah.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
What you're gonna do apparently is pivot to finishing up Love is Blind season 3.
No, this isn't finishing. This is just starting.
Oh, it's just starting.
Yes.
Okay.
We had season 2 earlier this year, which we talked about.
Yes.
This is season 3.
Oh boy.
And once again, they're able to find dumb, beautiful people
Yeah.
to go into pods and propose to people they have yet to see.
Is this the one where you have the nickname for it? What do you call it? There's one of these that you have like a name for it, like something island or something. I forget.
Oh, no, that's not this
That's
one.
not this one? Okay.
No. That's Sexless Island.
Oh, yeah, Sexless Island.
No, that one is too hot to handle.
That's too hot to handle. Sorry, this is Love is Blind.
This is Love is Blind.
Okay.
This is where beautiful people go into pods and then they had proposed to someone they've never met.
That's right.
And it's part like dating show and part like, wow, you really do have problems, but you clearly don't see them. Because there's this one girl in the series, maybe Ignorant Silent, because like the guy basically like poured out his heart, like revealed like this is my backstory, this is like the trauma, this is the stuff that made me shape who I am.
Yeah.
And the girl on the other side was exercising. She was doing jumping jacks. She was running around the room listening to this.
Sure.
And it's like, wow, you're clearly not paying attention. And then he calls her out on it because he can hear her doing jumping jacks. And he's like, if you're not going to listen to me, like as I'm pouring out myself, why should I listen to you? And he like left.
That's a good point. He's right, honestly.
I mean, the girl did eventually like find someone else, but
sure.
They clearly have issues because she is so into herself that she can't see someone else being a part of her life.
Jeez, yeah.
And yet she's on a show
about doing that.
About exactly do that. Finding someone to get married.
Knew this was going to happen or something.
I know. Almost like they added juicy drama just
like
for
they
us.
Put these things and do these things on purpose.
Anyways, there's another
reality shows.
Yeah, reality shows being juicy and drama. Like there's another person on there who's like, she's a ballerina. And she's like, I don't see myself as surface level. There's so much more to me. I have deep meaning. And then someone asked her, like, okay, like you're a ballerina, cool, but what else do you do? What else? Like, can you tell me a little bit about your past? And she's like, no, I don't want to talk about that. What happened in the past is in the past. Like, I am who I am now. And it's like, this guy is trying to get you to open up and get you to like go deeper. And you're saying that you don't want to be shallow. And yet here I am, literally keeping things on a surface level, the shallowest thing you can do.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But other than that, it's added soupy drama, and we love it.
As you know, as you do.
I mean, it's not like 911 or Good Doctor, where it's like added soupy drama. Oh, by the way, I did watch the couple episodes of So Help Me Todd, and that's also legal soupy drama.
Oh boy,
not something I'm to keep up on, but just I did watch it.
What an awful name.
It is such an awful name.
So stupid.
It's a soupy lawyer show.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, thank you. So Love is Blind. It's more of what you expect from Love is Blind.
It's going to continue perpetuating
until
so they can finally find more people to actually stick to the we're going to be married forever line.
Yeah. So we'll report back at the end of that one.
Oh, yes.
So I haven't been watching much. I do want to note, give our little mid-season Jeopardy update, or not mid-season even.
Yes.
So right now they're doing the Second Chance tournament on regular Jeopardy, which is going to have some people who did not become super champions and give them a chance to go into the Tournament of Champions. And after this is over, rolls right into the Tournament of Champions. Also note, Celebrity Jeopardy is still happening. And way too much Eliza Schlesinger. But otherwise, it's been okay. I do not like her. I do not like her at all. And she's constantly there. Yeah. We'll get the second round of celebrities this week. So I'm excited to see what they start with. So, and Aisha Tyler is on tomorrow night. I'm like, sure.
And then Peyton Manning hosted College Bowl, Capital One College Bowl is continuing.
Still love College Bowl.
Except they put it on Friday. So it's like, we're going to cancel you after this season, but we're not going to tell you that.
That's the death slot.
It's the death slot. Fridays at 8 p.m.
Oh, wow. So that's the routine game show update.
Yep.
Let's move on to cancellations.
Oh, and Hell's Kitchen continues to be battling of Hell's Kitchen.
What you want.
Yes.
All right, cancellations and renewals.
All right, what am I no longer watching?
Fox is bringing back Grimsburg for a second season.
No, it is approving it before its premiere.
Yeah, before its premiere.
In next year. Yeah.
Yes. It's going to get there. CBS has added 20 more episodes to East New York's order. Yep. I don't even know if that premiered yet. Has it?
So I think that's currently going. East New York. So they did three shows: East New York, Fire Country,
Yes.
and So Help Me Todd.
Which you just said.
Yes. All three of them,
20
originally
episodes.
13 episodes, have been bumped up to full season 20
Full season
episodes now.
orders. So there you go. Meanwhile, on Netflix, they've renewed Heartbreak High for a second season.
Mhm.
Stars has renewed P-Valley for a third season. Prime Video has canceled As We See It after just one season. And ABC has extended the order for The Rookie: Feds, which is, of course, a spinoff of The Rookie,
Yes.
for a full 22 episode order. So must have done pretty well for them.
Well, you can't be the rookie if you're in season 5 and they're training new rookies.
Right. So there you go. Spinoff town.
Yep.
Let's move on out of television and into no deaths this week, I guess.
No notable deaths.
Okay, so let's move right into movies. And we start movies with the weekend box office numbers. Your number one movie, 'tis the season, is Halloween Ends with a $40 million debut. That's actually one of the best debuts this year, if you can believe it.
Yep.
$40 million for its debut. Right underneath it, another horror movie, Smile, with another $12.5 million. That's at 71 domestic. Number 3, Lyle Crocodile, because the kids got to see something. $7.3 million, adding to a $22 million total. Number 4, The Woman King, still hanging in there with $3.7 million. That's at 59. And rounding out your top 5, Taylor Swift is Amsterdam, and $2.7 million, adding to a measly $11 million. No one is going to remember this movie beyond the next month.
Nope. Maybe someone will remind people when the next David O. Russell film comes out.
Oh boy. I'm glad his career may be ending.
Yes.
This coming week, a new release, just one, Pray for the Devil. And that's Pray like P-R-E-Y.
No.
This week's releases was Black Adam and Ticket to Paradise. We talked about that last week. But yes. So
Pray for the Devil
is your sole new release this week.
Because that's coming out on Halloween weekend.
Yes.
So if you really want to see a scary movie on Halloween weekend,
You got more.
Pray for the Devil. You got one more coming out there.
Let's move on into movie news. We start with the current president of DC Films, Walter Hamada, will no longer be the president of DC Films.
Yes, the current former president.
Yes. After 15 years with Warner Brothers, he has headed out the door since being handed the keys in 2018. Hamada will be the 5th Warner Brothers motion picture studio executive to leave since David Zaslav took the reins of the newly merged Warner Brothers Discovery, following Warner Brothers Motion Picture Group Chairman Toby Emmerich, President of Production and Development Courtney Valenti, Motion Picture Group COO Carolyn Blackwood, and Animation Group EVP Allison Abbott.
And then we add Walter Hamada to that list.
Hamada leaves just as Black Adam is hitting theaters with a projected $175 million opening weekend. Projected. We'll see if it pulls that off.
Yes.
That'll be next week's numbers. He helped shepherd the Batman through COVID to gross $771 million, as well as worked on DC's highest grossing movies, Aquaman, $1.1 billion worldwide, and Joker, $1.07 billion, which also won 2 Oscars. Beyond Black Adam, DC's 2023 slate has Shazam! Fury of the Gods on March 17th, The Flash, somehow still, on June 23rd, Blue Beetle on August 18th, and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom on Christmas Day. There is also Phillips' sequel, Joker Faux de Deux. I can't do the French. With Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga, planned for a December start and an October 4th, 2024 release. So this is the revolving door at DC continues. Will they ever find a person to stay there?
So it's part revolving door because Walter Hamada got the job because he brought on Justin Lin to direct the original Aquaman. But that was in 2018, which grossed $1.1 billion. And it was like, here you go. Please be our Kevin Feige. And then this merger happened, and then Zaslav was just taking the Zaslav axe to everyone, just cutting out everything, cutting it.
I don't blame anyone with a golden parachute to take it and pull it when Zaslav comes in charge, because he has no qualms about killing people's darlings.
Yep.
And I don't blame you for leaving. I don't blame anyone for leaving, getting out of that ship before he sinks it.
So he was signed on originally for 3 years. From 2018 to 2021, signed on for an additional 2 years through 2023, and is getting cut a year before. Yeah. A year before that contract of his is up.
I can't blame anyone. This whole Discovery thing has become a nightmare, and internally and externally. So, boy, I guess we'll see what Zaslav does, if anything's left.
I mean, he wants to find, as do everyone, their Kevin Feige for the DC films.
Yeah.
But he's such a one in a million shot
Yeah.
that
It's not a one-to-one
I am literally sitting right here saying I can do it. And yet,
Yeah.
1 in a million are not listening to us.
No. They don't hear you.
Yes.
But yeah, so we'll see what happens. But oh boy, it's just a bad time, I think, to be in anything related to Warner right now.
Yep.
Let's move on.
I mean, we'll see what DC Films does.
We'll see.
But, I mean, they got to find someone to run that division.
They still have the PR nightmare of putting out The Flash at all.
Yes.
To face.
And they're still dealing with the PR nightmare of Batgirl that never got released.
Yeah, it's just bad news. Bad news all around. Let's move on to some good news in the form of some movie bits.
The bits.
First up, Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut, Creed 3, the third in the Creed series, gets a release date of March 3rd, 2023, and a first trailer. Did you watch this trailer?
It looks good.
It looks good. I'm ready for more Creed.
Yes.
Let's do it.
I actually ended up skipping Creed 2 because I thought it was just gonna like a rehash of Rocky 4. Especially when you have like the sons going against each other.
But the Creed 3 looks like that good stuff.
Yes.
It looks like what you want.
Well, you got Jonathan Majors in it now. Yeah. And they both bulked up for this. Oh, it looks so good.
Well, you love to see it. Next up, Harrison Ford is officially in the MCU, as he will be playing somehow, inexplicably, General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross in Captain America New World Order, replacing the late William Hurt. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's already a stretch keeping him in the next Indiana Jones film. It's more of a stretch to have him do original characters here. Well, I guess inheriting a character.
Yeah, inheriting a character.
Just let the man rest. Let the man be an old guy. Just like the poor guy.
We don't need Harrison Ford in anything.
No, don't cast him anymore. It's fine. It feels like elder abuse at this point. Just let the man sit. Just let the man be Harrison Ford while he still can. Like, anyways, Netflix has picked up.
Make him go fly planes.
Yeah. Maybe not, actually. I don't know if I trust him to do that anymore either. Right. Next up, Netflix has picked up the untitled Adam Sandler Safdie Brothers feature that will be a follow-up to Uncut Gems. Apparently, the rumor is that it will take place in the collectible card industry, playing off of how valuable cards have become in the last few years. Baseball cards, Pokemon cards, Magic cards, etc. Interesting take, and sure. Sure, yeah. Why not?
I mean, Uncut Gems got both of them some Oscar nominations, so this is re-collaboration, and Netflix being like, yeah, let's do that again.
That's smart. Netflix is smart to grab that.
Yep.
And then lastly in the bits here, Universal is working on a sequel to Twister, but no Helen Hunt.
No.
But hey, sure. Sequel to Twister. Yeah, it's been long enough. Why not?
You know, we did have a sequel to Twister already. It's called Category 5.
Not the same thing.
No, not the same thing?
No, like you had a cooler CG cow this time. That you can do.
You don't want to
modern technology.
Like strap yourself to the ground as you get to take it up?
Yeah, no, not really.
Yeah. So new Twister, possibly in the works.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure there was a sequel called Twister 2.
Why not? I don't know.
Or Twister, or Twister Sister or something.
Twister Sister. We're not going to take it. Anyway, that's it for movie news. And I don't think we watched any movies this week, did we?
No.
So that'll do it for the show then. So thank you for joining us for Media Boat Podcast. We appreciate any of you sticking around with us.
We went through that fast from the music section.
We did, yeah. Second half was nothing.
Yep.
First half, bulky. So thanks for joining us for this hour 40 of Media Boat Podcast action. We'll be back next week for another show. It'll be our special spooky Halloween episode.
May or may not dress up.
Maybe. So yeah, get ready for that. If you want to see us do that, you can see us do that live on YouTube. Just go to YouTube, search Media Boat Podcast. You can find our channel. Like, subscribe, comment, click the bell for notifications. You can also listen to us in classic audio podcast form. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Amazon, wherever you listen to your podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio. You can download us by searching Media Boat Podcast on any of those catchers. You can also find us on social media channels. On Twitter, we're at Media Boatcast. Facebook, search Media Boat Podcast and find our page. You can email us if you have questions, just like our fan question this week, at mediaboatpodcast@gmail.com. Anything from questions. It doesn't just have to be about video games. It could be about anything, music, television, anything we cover. or just questions about us, feedback about the show, whatever you want to say. Ask away, and we'll give you some answers. And yeah, that'll do it for this week. And we will be back next week for another episode with even more.
Yep, we'll be back next week with our Halloween takes, even more thoughts, more news, and more of us coming your way.
All right, see you next time.
All right, bye.
Bye.
And we're done.
And
thank you, Spam.
bye.
Thank you, Spam.
Spam.